Hi guys, it's Horsey Steph, and today I am back with part 2 of Heartland Season 1, Episode 5. We're just getting into this episode, but I'm already pretty excited to see how this commercial Lou wants to run goes, because I just think that she is approaching it really not in a great way. She's trying to show a side of Heartland that really doesn't exist, and just micromanaging everything, which I think is going to create disaster, especially when you're working with horses, because horses don't follow a script and don't do exactly what you want. You need a little flexibility there, and I don't think Lou has that. And then of course the whole thing with Ty leaving is still right on the forefront of this episode, so maybe Ty and Amy can actually sit down and talk at some point and really address why he left, because I think Amy is actually a bigger reason he left than Ben. But I mean, I don't want to speak for him, just, you know, everyone else is already speaking for him and I don't want to be the one to speak for him, so we'll see as this episode progresses. If you guys could go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for future videos, that would help me out a ton. And let's go ahead and jump on in.
I know you're all crazed about this video, but don't touch Mom's stuff.
I have to sort of agree with Amy. I don't think that Lou needs to take like everything off the bulletin board and clear out all of this stuff that Amy's mom has collected and put up in the barn over the years just for a commercial. You don't need the place to look like fancy and like clean swept, because that's not Heartland and that's not what's gonna drive people to Heartland. If people are looking for that kind of facility, they're gonna go to Briar Ridge anyway, because Briar Ridge is so much fancier, cleaner, just, you know, like that empty stable look. Heartland is homey. It's somewhere that you can really relax and be yourself. And so Lou trying to pretend it's something else. I mean, again, be honest with your clients, be yourself and present yourself as best as you can. But don't try to be somebody else just to gain clients, because at the end of the day, those aren't the clients that actually want to be there, and they're not going to stay. They're not going to be good clients because you essentially lied to them when you promoted yourself to them.
Well, it's not like you even care that he left.
I care, all right. I care that Grandpa is totally overworked.
Amy is taking absolutely no responsibility for the fact that Ty left partly because of her, and she's blaming absolutely everyone else for it, which is ridiculous. Just kind of shows that Amy is a little bit of a child still in a lot of ways.
Oh, you're Dylan's agent. Okay, well, would he...
I think that he just bailed on her. That's really too bad. I think having the, fancy director was really gonna make this commercial more successful. But I'm not overly surprised. I mean, it shocked me in the first place that he even agreed to do it, just because it seems like, why? I know they're not gonna be able to pay him enough to make it worth it for him to do it. So I was already like pretty shocked, like, wow, he's actually gonna do this, not just like they asked him and he said, no, I don't think so. But it is really too bad. I mean, I know that Lou was really counting on it, and now she's gonna have to go back to her friend that had offered for her husband to make time to film it, after she kind of like offended her by saying, oh, but we're gonna have this fancy director instead. So, alright, that's really too bad, but maybe for the best, because maybe the wedding photographer will just bring a more genuine feel to it than the kind of Hollywood director. Because again, they want to present Heartland as Heartland, not as something else that it isn't. That's not going to help anyone.
Dylan can't do it. He got a job in Toronto. So, just forget the whole thing.
I'm surprised Lou's giving it up that quickly. I mean, I think right now she's just upset about the director canceling on her because he got another job that I'm sure is paying like tons more money. But I'm surprised she's just acting like this. It's kind of unbecoming, and also she seems like such a kind of like plan or get it done type. I think instead of being all butthurt about him canceling, she'd be like, what can I do to get back on track to get this commercial done, etc. Not letting it slow her down any, but instead like using it as motivation to work even harder to make this successful.
I know everyone worked hard today, and I'm sorry if you thought I was being pushy.
I'm glad that Lou is apologizing for pushing everyone so hard. I get where she comes from though. I mean, she's from New York, and you know, when you're at work and there's a project, it's like all hands on deck, you get it done and you don't complain. But that's not the environment she's in now. They're at a family ranch, and you know, family ranch. Like, they're not busting their asses to get work done all the time. And I'm not saying they're not working hard, but it's a whole different work environment. You just don't treat people like that and push them like that. And there's a lot of self-motivation in this kind of work. People do it because they want to do it, because they want to help make a successful ranch, not because somebody is being like a slave driver and forcing them to get stuff done right away.
We can't do without a director, so let's just forget about the whole thing.
I'm so still surprised she's giving up so easily.
She said she would have been more than happy to air our video.
So you mean it would have actually been on TV?
I don't know why Amy thought they were gonna shoot this whole commercial and not put it on TV. I mean, I figured Lou did that first, figured out where she could put it on TV before she even got around to like finding a director and trying to get it filmed and everything. While Lou might have a little bit of like crazy ideas about getting commercials and all of that, and I still don't think that's a great idea. I mean, again, she belongs in the business world and she's very good at planning and organizing. So of course she's gonna make sure that they have somewhere they can air this footage before she invests time and money into creating the footage. You don't film videos and spend lots of money getting videos filmed and edited and whatnot to then find out that you have nowhere you can air them, or, you know, can't afford to air your commercial anywhere.
Every evening after the news.
It's a big audience.
Oh wow. I'm surprised she could get that kind of exposure from a commercial. I assume that she was kind of pulling in favors from people, and again, she said that the news company wanted to support local businesses, so I'm sure they cut them a deal because they like have a good mission and whatnot. But that is pretty cool. I mean, I don't know that that would really make a huge difference in the horse world, because again, you're working with problem horses, not like the general public. But definitely, like, I would jump on that opportunity if I could afford to do that for like a reasonable price. That's so much exposure. I mean, you really can't say no to that kind of exposure. So now Mallory, Ben, they're all super excited because they're like, oh my god, we could be on TV. Whole Ashley thing. I don't think Amy cares about that. She was just not thinking that this would actually get them any exposure. Mallory especially is like, oh my god, I could be on TV. I want to be part of this right away. So doesn't surprise me. She's definitely that kind of personality.
Hire someone else to direct.
I think Ben might actually know people that direct, so that could be helpful to have him involved if he does know people. It was sounding from that little snippet like he might know somebody.
Harry is a real enough director for you?
Oh, come on, Marnie. You know I didn't mean it the way it sounded.
Alright, so she is gonna have her friend's husband direct it. Again, I don't think that's a bad idea. I still think, like, I get her point about having the big name commercial guy do it. I mean, he's in this industry, he does commercials all the time, and weddings are different. But I'm sure that a wedding videographer can get the job done and do something nice.
Jerry, I am so sorry about this mess, but don't worry, we can definitely get rid of some.
Don't move a thing. Seriously, don't touch it.
The thing about Jerry is because he does wedding photography, like little mementos and cute things and things that add character to the barn are things that are gonna really interest him and things he's gonna wanna highlight, versus the big name production is gonna think like, we need to wipe everything clean of personality. And Lou has that idea too, like we need to clean everything up so there's no like traces of personality and clutter. I think he's actually going to provide something that's a little more genuine to the Heartland spirit, because he's going to have more of that lens of like representing the character and the personality and everything that's kind of unique, even in the mess, because that's what you do in wedding photography.
Jack, you've got a great face. The face of a horse farm.
I think he's absolutely right. I think Jack would be great in this commercial because he really seems like, you know, the seasoned ranch guy that's been doing this his whole life, because, you know, he has. And he's got a kind face and he's got a kind eye. And he has that kind of authority to him. So I think Jerry's absolutely right. I think they're going to have a lot of trouble convincing Jack to do the commercial because I don't think he wants any part of being on TV.
What?
MC the video.
Talking to the camera? No. I'm not cut out for that sort of thing.
I figured that's what he'd say.
Catch me yakking it up like those guys on TV? No way. I'd rather be dragged behind a truck.
Okay, I didn't expect him to be so, like, colorful in his, hell no, I'm not doing this, but I'm not surprised he's not doing it. It's just totally not his thing.
Welcome to Heartland. Welcome.
Oh, maybe they have convinced him to do it. He's thinking about it. As much as he doesn't want to do it, I think it did kind of like, oh, I'm special. It gave him a little bit of a kick. You know, he's still human, and everyone enjoys being told that they're fantastic for something. So maybe he will actually do it, even though his first thought is, hell no. Maybe he will, because it kind of gives him a kick, like, oh, I'm going to be on TV because I'm so special. But in like a totally humble way, unlike Mallory and Ashley. Amy is back at it, driving this horse around the round pen, terrifying him and getting him to shut down. And she's really not letting this horse stop at all, just making him gallop, 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 gallop. Again, the classic join-up technique we saw in the very first episode that does absolutely nothing except shut a horse down. And you can see how in the beginning, when this horse first came, he was really anxious and screaming and running and pacing. Nothing has changed. He's still carrying himself in the same way. He's still screaming while he runs. He's still having a panic attack. And that's the first thing they should have addressed, and what they should be really focused on right now is helping him chill and be okay in this environment. Nobody wants to be panicking all the time. Not a horse, not people.
Keep him moving.
Scott was right. This guy is stubborn.
He's not stubborn just because he's so panicky he can't even think about doing anything except running. And it irritates me that, you know, Jack comes over and is like, yeah, keep him moving, good job, basically, right? She's not doing a good job. Stubborn, I think, is very often misinterpreted with horses. I don't think that there are a whole lot of stubborn horses out there. I mean, obviously, I don't want to make that blanket statement, there are no stubborn horses, but when people say stubborn, a lot of times I see horses that are so fearful or so shut down that they just can't react to the stimulus. In this situation, they're calling this horse stubborn because he wants to keep running around. He's not thinking about turning in and joining up like they want him to. I really truly think that's because he's so panicky, he can't even comprehend the idea that he wouldn't keep running, and he's gonna run himself to death before he really even considers another option. And this looks like kind of a lighter, hotter blooded horse. And that is typical of them. Your like thoroughbreds and Arabs are just go, 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 go. They are the kind of horses that literally run themselves into the ground before they consider other options. Your more drafty type horses are much more thinkers. They're more likely to step back and say, I've been doing this a long time. I'm expending a lot of energy doing this. Is there another option that will take the pressure away? So I think this horse isn't stubborn, he's just more panicked, and he's not as good at thinking things through as some of your more draft horses are. And now she's getting even more aggressive about the pushing, just pushing him faster, harder, bigger. Again, it's just gonna tire him out. It's not accomplishing anything. If you wanted to do the join-up technique, you could honestly do it with very little energy expended with the horse. I mean, Monty Roberts first developed this method following, I believe, wild horses, but then he also tried it with deer and realized you could tame or join up to a deer by just following them for long enough. Eventually they will turn around and engage with you. So there's absolutely zero reason to do this at the gallop. Even from the beginning, Monty Roberts knew you didn't have to send horses tearing around round pins in the gallop to accomplish this. It just takes longer and people don't have the patience. So they would rather send the horse into a gallop and chase them around. And it's not fair to the horse. Again, it really isn't fair. And that was totally an unrealistic interpretation of what a horse joining up looks like, especially one that's so panicky like that. They don't just suddenly start trotting with their tail and head up and then turn around and come in. That's what, a horse that understands the concept of I run and then I come in is gonna do. They've been trained to come in after they're done running, so even though they're like all worked up and all worried, they're gonna turn in because that's what they do. A horse that's truly panicked and doesn't understand the join up technique or coming in at all. I mean, you can have horses come in that don't do join up, but a horse that doesn't understand that is gonna run until they're getting so tired they start to slow down. And you're gonna allow the slowing down as long as the horse is considering you in proper join up. So as the horse slows down and starts like trying to think about you instead of just thinking about running, you're gonna let them do that until eventually they have an inkling, what if I slow down and look at you? Maybe I don't need to keep running, I can just study you from the edge of the round pin. And that's what they're gonna do. And then when you turn your back and walk off, if they have felt safe enough about you, they might come follow you in. More likely you're gonna have to repeat that a couple times before they start to realize that the safety is with you, not around the edge of the round pin. And again, you're conditioning them to learn that being with you is where the pressure is off. This is just pressure and release training, and most training is. I just don't think this is a very fair pressure release training for horse. But it's just pressure release. So after a while, the horse learns if he's out on the rail, he gets chased around and has to run. And if he's in the middle with you, you pet him, give him scratches, maybe give him cookies. And so it's a much, much better place to be. Obviously, horses are gonna be quicker and quicker at it, and it's gonna take less emotional shifts and less thought process for them to come right to you, because they're like, I don't wanna be running around, let me go to you. Right? And then you start getting those horses that do more what this horse did, where he didn't join up at all. He just came in after he was done running because he doesn't want to run. And coming in means he doesn't have to keep running. And like I said, he really wasn't relaxed, so she went to go pet him. It was too much. He took off again. They're going to call this super stubborn, I'm sure. It's not stubborn. It's just panic. And he finally found like a little moment of relief, and he came to her for that relief because he had kind of figured out at that point that being in the middle was where the relief was. And then she went right back to adding more pressure, because petting is still pressure. If a horse doesn't understand it and isn't comfortable with it, that's pressure. So she added pressure and made the middle not safe. So now she's gonna have to work even harder to get him back into the middle. And this time, she'll hopefully let him really comprehend that the middle is his safety before she does anything else to him to dissuade him of the fact that the middle is safe. But I'm sure she's gonna call him stubborn, run him around in circles like crazy more until he comes back in, and repeat the process until he stands there and lets her pet him because he's so shut down that he's disassociated from his whole body.
Oh, I'm not making much progress here.
Come on, man, give this pony a break.
She's not making much progress. She made great progress. I mean, she took the first step and then she freaking ruined it because she's impatient, didn't have time. All good horsemanship starts from having time. I think Jack's idea of giving this horse a break is a great idea. I mean, how long can you really run a horse in the round pen without just starting to have health effects of it? It's a bad idea. And it's not fair to the horse. Give them a break, let them chill, then you can start, pushing them a little bit more later another day, and let them think. Like, that's the whole thing she didn't do when the horse came into the center of the round pen in the first place. So at least by walking away now, she can let him think through all that instead of keeping him in that like high stress, panicked running mentality where he's not thinking. Horses that are panicking aren't thinking horses. It's why the whole join up doesn't really work. It just gets them to disassociate because they can't think through that. They can just react and react and react and react. And reacting brains, they don't learn. Obviously, when you're training a horse, you might tap into that reactive brain occasionally. You really don't want to, but it's gonna happen. Horses can only truly learn when they're in a relaxed state and they're thinking versus the reactive state where they're not thinking, they're just doing. So it's a good thing to keep in mind when you are working with horses and are training horses. You need to really take the time to get them to relax through every step of the process. Otherwise, you're not really teaching them as much as you would like to teach them. Join up is just an example of how that process is completely overlooked, and the horse is never allowed to be in a relaxed state while they learn. They're just pushed until they disassociate, which is called learning, but really isn't. I hope you guys found this segment of Heartland interesting. A lot more working with horses in this episode than the last episode. Obviously, the last one we had all the things with Ben coming off. I'm surprised we haven't seen Ben riding at all yet, so maybe they're saving that for episode 6. Because this episode seems to be all about this wild horse, and we're seeing lots more of the join-up technique. Again, it's really disappointing to me that Amy kind of waffles between being super impatient with this join-up and even rushing the join-up process, and then the really kind, soft horsemanship we saw with the one mare that was really afraid of being saddled. I can't remember her name anymore. But that was really good horsemanship where she was really patient and took her time. Now we're back to this horsemanship where we're taking no time and we're rushing everything. So that does make me really sad, but you know, it is what it is. And I suspect that's what we're gonna keep seeing throughout this TV show, unless, you know, things evolve over time and slowly the directors decide maybe they could leave that join up behind. But I doubt it. I mean, it's so common in the horse world. I don't think from an ethics point of view you would ever think, especially not being a horse person and not really interacting with them, I don't think would ever occur to you if you want to move away from that, because it's not a great technique. I mean, we still have tons of horse trainers that do this for a living that think it's a great technique, right? If you guys did like this reaction to Heartland, if you guys could go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, comment down below, all of that would help me out a ton. If you missed any of my reactions to Heartland, there is a link in the description box down below to the playlist that has all of my Horse Trainer Reacts to Heartland's series. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye!